This video tutorial is part one of the water pipelines investigation tutorial. I'm going to walk you through a couple steps here and give you some explanations along the way. I'm going to label the axes. You can see that this has a drop-down menu for X and also Y. And you can see that X came up here and Y came up there. Remember, if I want to move the axes around, I have to go to this Move Graphics view. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a point on the origin. Now I want you to watch what happens here. See if I put the arrow over the y-axis, I get a little box that says y-axis. And then if I put it over the x-axis, I get x-axis. And if I put it over right here, it says x-axis, y-axis. If I put a point there, you can see that it turns black. That means it's fixed. If I go back here and try and move this around, you'll see I'm clicking on this and it's not moving. So it's a fixed point. Okay. The next kind of point I want to show you how to make is what's called a dependent point. And I'm going to make a point and I'm going to roll my pointer over it so it says y-axis, and then I'm going to put the point on it. And you can see it's a light blue. And so basically what that means is that it's fixed or dependent on the y-axis. So I can move it up and down, but I can't move it left and right because it's stuck to the y-axis. Okay? I'm going to put another two dependent points on the x-axis. One of them around here, and then the other one right here at 8, 0. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a perpendicular line that goes through D. Remember, if I just roll over this tool here, it tells me what how I can use it. Select point and perpendicular line. So I'm going to select my point, and then the line perpendicular I want is the x-axis, so I just click on that, and it gives me that line there. Now I'm going to create another point that is dependent, or is going to sit on this line here, and I'm going to put it right there. Okay, and then I'm going to rename the points so it goes with the assignment. So this one is actually C, and this one I'm right clicking. I can get the rename. I'm getting A. I'm going to rename this one right click. I'm going to call it P. Give them uppercase names. That's correct point notation. I'm going to rename, actually I don't need to rename this one. I'm going to rename this one as point B. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to create some line segments, and if I go to this tool and then do the drop down menu, I can get segment. And I'm going to connect C to P. I'm going to connect P to D. And then I'm going to also connect A to P and P to B. So I've got some line segments there. You can see that it gives me the lengths over here on the left-hand side in the algebra window. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this perpendicular line off. Now, I want to, the investigation calls this distance from C all the way to D, it calls it lowercase d, but we've already got something named D here. And so if I named this distance C to D, this length on the bottom, if I named that lowercase d, then it would cause a problem. So I'm going to rename this line segment here. So I'm going to go to the arrow, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to rename that one, and I guess I'll just call it F, just because that's the next letter that's available. Okay, now I'm going to go here, I'm going to go D equals line segment B is this one right here, and C is that one right there. So I'm going to go B plus C, and then I'm going to hit enter, and you can see that gives me a number D, which is the complete distance from point C to point D. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the labels off of these line segments. So on the PC, I can do this by clicking this top segment and then shift clicking, and I think something similar can be done with the Mac. So I've selected all of them, and I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to click the show label, and you can see all the show labels turned off. Okay. And then I'm actually going to make these two segments B and C invisible just by clicking on the little button there, and they disappear. And then I'm going to, this distance from A to P, from P to B, is the distance of the pipeline that you're trying to minimize. So I'm just going to go AP plus PB. Okay, that's not a formula, it's just a number. And if I hit enter there, it gives me that distance. So you can see the distance of pipeline is gonna, which is this plus this, is now called G over here. Okay. Next thing I want to show you, this might be useful. It's already kind of default now, but it says point capturing, and there's like a little magnet here. If I go snap to grid, what that does is that if I'm moving points around on the grid, move in the axes area, then if you move slowly, it kind of just snaps. You saw that just kind of jump to that 2, and then if I move slowly, it'll just kind of like magnetize right to that 3, that 0.30, which makes it easy to find like kind of points that are on the grid that's being shown. So that's important to know how to do. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the Graphics 2 view, and I'm going to open that up a little bit, and I'm going to grab this grid here, and I'm going to then add a point that's dependent now. Again, I want it to appear in Graphics 2, so I've got this clicked and it's bolded here. So this point I'm going to call E, and it's going to be equal to, well, the distance X in the investigation is from C to P, okay, which in this case is called B, so I'm going to call it B. I know there's all these different letters with different names, but CP is what X is, in other words, the distance of the pump from this point C in the assignment. And then the distance of the pipeline is, we created that's G. So I'm going to make a point in this graph area that's, the coordinates are B, G. And if I hit that, that'll come up. Now you can't see it right now, but if I go adjust my axes, you can see that it does indeed appear. Now watch what happens. Since I made that point dependent on the X value of where P is and the Y value being the total distance of the pipeline, watch what happens. If I do this, you can see that kind of goes down, hits a minimum point, and comes back up. Okay, I'm going to stop there, and I will continue, and we'll make a graph in this area that you can use to screenshot this whole area for your water pipeline investigation. So part 2 is coming up soon.